Wow, the room's getting quiet. Everyone's ready. Let's kick this off. Welcome. My name is Mark Delurgio. Today we're going to talk about the future of data integration at Salesforce. So I need to start with our safe harbor. I'm a product manager. We're going to talk a lot about some future functionality here today, and some coming very, very shortly. But please make your buying decisions based on currently generally available software. So I'm sure since you're at this session, you know that technology is helping your organization become more intelligent. There's some great new apps like lead scoring, analytics dashboards for segmentation, better knowing your customer. You might have heard something about Einstein, this new initiative we have for artificial intelligence. But how great are these apps going to be if it's just based on the data that your reps enter into CRM? You really need strong data to drive these apps. But getting that data into CRM is actually really difficult. The integration is really painful. As you know, Salesforce is a very open platform. There's APIs, there's batch Apex, et cetera. But really getting that data into CRM is a big project for your IT shop. And even if you do have that data in your organization, it's often siloed across multiple systems. And once that data is into CRM, how do you really make it actionable? So it's one thing if your sales ops team is able to move forward with great segmentation reports for territory planning and white space analysis, et cetera. But how do you get your reps informed about this great data you have in your CRM to actually help them sell? So today I'm going to talk to you about a new data platform. We've been working on this for a while, and it's actually the same platform that some of you might already be familiar with that's powering our geocoding service. Or also, if you're a Data.com Clean customer, you might have seen some new things we're calling clean rules to help you integrate your leads with D&B, Dun & Bradstreet company information for lead routing, et cetera, and also Dun & Bradstreet company information for your accounts. But we're really opening up this platform to new data sources. And the really most interesting feature of this platform is I find it kind of ironic because you've already all heard this story for years about Salesforce and how we disintermediated the IT shop back in the day, 17 years ago, where sales teams could directly license the sales tool and start running their business more efficiently. But what do you do today? If there's a new data set that's going to help you drive your business and you want to integrate it into CRM today, what do? You go to your IT shop and get in line. And then you say, well, we want to integrate this data vendor and that data vendor, and you have a long list of 7 different data vendors. I'm sure you have plenty of integrations today. They're all different. They're all one-offs. They break, fields change, batch Apex fails. You might run into API limits, et cetera. So we're letting you now integrate this industry-specific data with clicks and not code. Another feature of this new platform, for those of you that are familiar with the Data.com Clean jobs, is that as leads come in your clean jobs today, they'll get enriched against our contact data, but it runs based on a job process. So you want to route that lead as soon as possible. But then you look at your watch and say, oh, wow, my clean job is going to run at 2 a.m. Like, what do we do between now and then? We want to make this actionable right away. So we have this real-time enrichment. So when records come in to CRM, we'll go ahead and enrich them in real time. And we're bringing you this new value via the data exchange. And I'm really excited today to talk about some of our first data vendors that are going to be launching apps on this new data exchange. Seamless integration, like I talked about, with clicks, not code. A robust catalog. We're starting with 3 launch partners, and we'll be growing it over time. And it's up to you to go out to the App Exchange section called Data Exchange and find the right data that fits your business and your needs. And that's going to enable data-driven intelligence. We really say that Data Exchange makes Einstein smarter. I mean, he's a pretty smart guy, but again, if it's just based on the data in your CRM, often it needs more industry data to make it more predictive. So that's just one example. But more standard scenarios, things like account segmentation, et cetera, you really need that deep niche industry data to really make these processes more efficient and target the right accounts. So we have our apps, like I talked about, Einstein, Wave. We have things like workflow. We have assignment rules. But again, if you really don't know your customer based on the data in your CRM, it's really difficult to build data-driven apps. So we're moving forward with data exchange packages by our prime data partner, Dun & Bradstreet, And the new packages we have coming out this fall are Bombora, which models B2B purchasing intent, really interesting company. I'm happy to have Mike Burton here from Bombora share more about their data set in a few minutes. HGData, which provides installed technology information. So if you're selling to technology to companies and you want to understand what are they running today, what are we competing against, it's a really great deep data set. And we have Mark Godley from HG here today to talk about their data set. And then Thursday morning, we'll have MCH Strategic Data at a session at 9 in the morning on Thursday, talking about their education firmographics, healthcare firmographics, public sector, et cetera. So I'm going to show you a bit how this is going to work. So I'm going to reintroduce myself. My name is Matt Johnson. I work in sales ops, and I'm really, really nervous because we're really behind on our pipeline. I have a meeting with my boss tomorrow morning. She's the VP of sales, and we just don't know where we're going to get our customers to really meet our numbers this quarter. So I work for a systems integrator, and we've helped our customers for decades on their on-premise solutions. But as you could imagine, more and more of these customers are moving out to the cloud. But I'm hearing from our VP of sales that the reps are just not efficient. They're trying to upsell to our current customer base, and you hear about all this hype about the move to the cloud, but which customers really are moving to the cloud? A lot of people are talking about it, but not that many people are actually moving on it. And I'm hearing that we have really a sweet spot with Windows shops. We have some tools with Windows shops, SQL Server migrations, et cetera. If they run Windows Server or related consoles, we have some tools that make it a real easy transition from on-premise software out to some of the leading cloud services, like Amazon Web Services. So fortunately, my boss was smart enough to send me to Dreamforce, and I heard about this really cool thing called the Data Exchange. And I see there's a vendor out there called HGData. I'm going to click on that and learn a little bit more about this vendor's data set. Again, they sell installed technology information. I'm going to work with HGData, get a better understanding of what they can do for me and my business, and I go ahead and license that data set from HGData. How many people here have installed a package into their org? Maybe about a third. I thought probably more people. The cool thing about App Exchange that we're launching the Data Exchange on is that in a matter of minutes, you'll install this package into your org, and you'll have this data set at your fingertips. Of course, I've seen more than just HGData out there. I see Bombora. I've read about Bombora, really interesting company, helping a lot of the leading lead scoring firms in their predictive models. And they model, again, B2B purchasing intent. So this would be great if I really understand what my current customers are looking to do in their business over the next several months. So I go ahead and install these packages, and what they do is inject what we call clean rules into the org. Again, these are the very same rules that are today driving geocoding and other data services. I can go into that clean rule and review some key information. Like there's a very important checkbox. Clean all records whenever this rule is activated. That's where the magic happens, because when I click that checkbox and click activate, it's going to go top to bottom in my accounts and compare them against the Bombora data set, match them, and bring back that B2B purchasing intent into my org to make my apps smarter. So usually this process, depending on how many accounts you have, what the system load is, it often happens within a few hours. We can't guarantee that, but it's really fast. And if you think about working with a data vendor the old school way, schlepping flat files, and your IT shop writing batch Apex, often these projects take months and months and a lot of cost to your internal resources. Once this process has run, I can go to my accounts and I actually see now we have an account that's matched to Bombora. I see, and what do you know? It's actually matched to HGData too. So I got a match against both data sources. It's right here on my account in a master detail relationship. So now I can run my reporting based on this. Here I've sorted, I'm looking at application development tools, Bombora. I've see different composite scores that show me how much of that company is surging, researching different topics. But the cool thing is, from a segmentation standpoint, now I can run a segmentation dashboard based on this industry-specific data. So I've created this dashboard across both these data sets. And it's telling me that I have a certain number of customers running, researching cloud strategy. That's kind of an interesting topic. Trending in big data. Down here, some dashboards from HGData. Again, I'm looking for my accounts that are basically Microsoft shops. So I can see which customers, well, I know a lot of them are running Office, but what about SharePoint? What about Exchange? What about SQL Server? I mean, again, if I can find customers that are running SQL Server, I have some great porting tools to help them get out to the cloud on AWS. So you're all familiar, I'm sure, with Salesforce segmentation reporting. Even better, if I am running Wave, our reporting tool, I can see some really killer segmentation across multiple data sources and really slice and dice my data, highly target it. So with HGData, I'm seeing that I have a certain segment of customers running Windows Server, again, a sweet spot. I want to really zero in here on Amazon Web Services from a surging Bombora topic. So I'm going to go ahead and select this slice from Amazon Web Services. I'm also a Data.com clean customer. Now, to buy these packages, you don't need to have a clean license. But if you do, then you have this gold standard DMB horizontal data for things like employee size, annual revenue, et cetera. So I can further segment my customers based on those factors. And now I have a list that's highly targeted. So I'm really happy now. I can go into my meeting in the morning. The VP of Sales is going to be smiling because I'm going to give her a list of highly targeted accounts that are going to make her team much more efficient and close more deals. But it's not just about segmentation, because segmentation is great for my job and helping my sales team sell. But how do we really make this data actionable? And that's a question that came up when we were talking to Heather here from Cloudera, who's going to be speaking in a bit, when we demoed this to her and talked about this integration. And that's precisely what she told me. Like, I was so proud of my segmentation charts. And she's like, how does it become actionable? And so we did some work. The cool thing is on the Salesforce platform, it only took a few minutes for Sid on my team to write a trigger. And it said, the trigger says anytime I get data from Bombora saying that one of my accounts is surging on AWS, I'm going to create a task. So the account owner here has a call task. Applied Materials is trending on AWS. Another thing is, I'm sure you've heard about our Einstein project with lead scoring. Lead scoring is going to be one of the first apps we're building under the Einstein technology. And so when leads come in, we'll compare them against these data sets, against HGData, against Bombora. And I'm seeing on the right here that Riley Schultz has been scored based on certain attributes, like her phone number has been validated, she's a director, and what do you know? She has interest in cloud management services from Bombora. So that's a pretty good fit. So that's boosted our score up to a 92. She's at one of the top leads on our list. So we're going to reach out to her really soon. So need to say safe harbor on the timing of these packages. We hope to, all the launch partners just getting onboarded onto our ISV program kind of as we speak. And then they'll work on getting their packages out there, go through security review. We hope by the end of the year that you'll see the first few packages out there on the App Exchange. And then we'll be building off above and beyond that over the ensuing months. And another thing I want to point out is that I know this stuff looks really cool in Lightning, but it kind of makes customers nervous about, like, do I really need to use Lightning to get this value? And the answer is no. I mean, the data is in your org, it's related to your accounts, master detail relationships. Hopefully that's not too nerdy for everyone, but it's at your fingertips. So if you're still running Classic, it's no problem. You can get the same data integration in your org and drive the very same segmentation charts that you saw today. So now we're going to get a better understanding of these vendor data sets. So Mike Burton, co-founder and SVP of Bombora, will speak, and then Heather Sutherland from Cloudera. And after them, we're going to have Mark Godley come up from HGData to tell you a bit more about their data set, as well as Larry Chang from Engagio to learn more about how they use this type of data. So Mike? You can go there.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. I'm Mike Burton from Bombora. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of the Bombora data set and the Bombora business and quickly turn it over to Heather from Cloudera, who's a great forward-thinking customer of ours. So if you want to... Great. So yeah, the core of the Bombora business is our ability to monitor the research behavior of about 1.2 million businesses. We've accomplished this by building a massive cooperative, historically made up of a lot of the biggest B2B media companies in the world. Right, so a lot of the businesses that produce a lot of the content that buyers are using to make research decisions, we're able to monitor the consumption of that content and tie it back to businesses. So this allows us to be able to understand how much accounts in your addressable market normally consume about 2,800 B2B topics, and therefore, when they go into what we call a research surge on any of those topics. And the idea is that this can become a powerful input for both sales and marketing. And the kind of overriding message is that alignment, right? Using this as a data source that can help align your sales efforts and your marketing efforts. So the first question that we get is, okay, what do I do with this data once I have it? And then there's a lot of answers to that question. So I'm mostly going to pass it off to Heather and let a real-world example talk about how one of our customers uses it. But the idea is that everything from content syndication, right? Understanding which companies you should be getting leads in from, email marketing, what companies should I be reaching out to, sales alignment, so making sure that those same companies being reached with marketing tactics, the sales team is aware of that and calling into those companies at the same time. So the idea is to identify a subset of your addressable market that is much more likely to engage with you today, and then to orchestrate both sales and marketing around that subset. So thank you. I'll pass it over to Heather.
Hey, so I'm going to go through just 3 use cases of how we use Bombora. We use them in a lot of different ways, but I think these are pretty diverse. So the first starts with sales. So for our sales team, on a weekly basis, we pass intent data to those AEs who are tied to specific accounts. An AE may only have 2 accounts, but an AE might have 100. And so we pass over by account which of their accounts are surging on different topics, how much they're surging. And what that allows the sales team to do is, if you're covering 100 accounts, it helps you surface those accounts that might be surging on something. They weren't even on your radar. You were thinking, oh, I'll maybe, work on them next quarter. So it raises those accounts to a higher level, and the AE can decide, do I want to personally go out to them, maybe have my SDR do some prospecting, et cetera. It also helps them with an existing account to see the topics they're surging on, to help them guide those some of the conversations they might want to have. Maybe they're surging on machine learning in our case. They're like, oh, okay, I didn't even think about calling into, insert random company name and to talk about machine learning. So it gives the AE insight not only into which accounts to call into, but potentially what discussions to have. The second way we use this for field marketing. Field marketing is typically an event order taker. I think some field marketing teams have risen above that, not many. So what this does is we pass over not only the account intent data, but also the data by metro area. So if you maybe look over the Chicago, Midwest, for example, your sales leaders come to you and say, I need events in Chicago. Well, maybe not. The field marketing person can actually look by the different metro areas that she covers and decide, you know what? These are maybe Milwaukee is better, Detroit, and she'll actually have data and insight into why she's recommending those different cities, as well as the topics that might resonate within an area. And she can also dive into that data by account as well. So it really makes her a strategic partner to sales versus just an event order person. And then the third way is how we started with Bombora. Well over 18 months ago, we used them for our display efforts. We do take an account-based approach to display, but even then, it's still a lot of accounts. So how do we effectively spend our budget and be most efficient? So we actually rationalize our list by who's in market now, who's surging on specific topics. So quarter after quarter, for 6 consecutive quarters, we've had phenomenal results. We easily kill the 25% benchmark that Demandbase sets for lift for all the accounts that we advertise to. And again, that's just 3 use cases. We do a lot of other more advanced stuff with it now, and it's changing kind of day by day.
Great, thanks. And then we're going to pass it on to Mark from HG and then Charlie from Engagio.
Mark Gather with HGData, if you'll push the slides. So how many people in the last week before the show got a phone call or an email saying, hey, I know you're going to Dreamforce? Anybody in the audience got that? Okay.
Oh,
Well, I apologize because some of those people might have been buying our data set that maps back who's using CRM, for instance. That's one example of what we're trying to build. The basic concept is if you know something about the account, what softwares and hardwares a particular organization is using, and you are a tech company, that will allow your BDRs, your marketing team, to actually have precision messaging at scale. That's an important point. Up until now, it's typically been, yeah, you want to know 5 companies that use Salesforce? You can go do a Google search and find out who posted something somewhere. Some people in your sales team may know somebody. But you can't do it at mass volumes. You can't do it to the tune of, I think we have 78,000 users of Salesforce aggregated. Or if you want to do a marketing program or an outreach program that's enormous in scale, you can do that, but you got to go out with a very generic message. So we think we've married those two concepts in a very unique way. Some of you are probably familiar with data sets like ours that have been available for decades. The difference is how we build the data set. We don't have brute force offshore labor calling into companies. We don't have people with hands on keyboards. We're building the data set through I can use a bunch of jargon, artificial intelligence, natural language processing, big data with stuff like Cloudera. But the basic concept is we're taking information that's available in the public record. It's press releases, it's web pages like Dreamforce and who's speaking where. It's resumes, it's job postings, and we're using sophisticated algorithms to figure out the contextual relationships between what is mentioned in those pieces and extrapolating out what that means as far as who uses what softwares where. So that's what we do. Very applicable to a portion of the of Salesforce's client base. As far as why we're here, some of you out in the audience might recognize that square thing on the left-hand side of the page. I guess I'm showing my age because I remember the day when I booted up a 35-pound Toshiba orange screen device and put a 5 1/4-inch floppy in there and said, let me show you how to run your payroll with this thing called DOS software. But the point is, that was close to 30 years ago, probably was 30 years ago. But HGData has served the largest companies on the planet. Folks like IBM, folks like HP, folks like, who should I not mention here? Okay, I can't mention a couple others. But the point is, we have delivered our data set in a massive CSV file via FTP with hundreds of millions of rows. If you're a 20, 30, $40 million company out there, the ability to consume that is very difficult. As Mark has mentioned, and Charlie will as well when he speaks here in a minute, it's not plug and play, if you will. By joining the data exchange with Salesforce, we really see this process as democratizing what we see as this massive competitive advantage, and not just HGData, but folks like Bombora. The information that have been used by the largest companies on the planet to gain competitive advantage is now being brought to the masses. So we're thrilled to be here, and in addition to hearing from Cloudera, I'm going to turn you over to a guy who has worked for some smaller companies, probably like a lot of you, who's been ahead of the curve and doing some of this in a very automated fashion, and now excited to share with you how you can do it too.
Thank you, Mark. First of all, I'm Charlie Liang, Director of Marketing at a company called Engagio. We do account-based marketing and sales. They only allowed me one slide, so there's a lot of builds in the slide, so just bear with me. How many of you guys have been to Lake Tahoe? I love Lake Tahoe. So I was there a couple months ago. Can you go back?
Oh, bad.
I was there a couple months ago, and I was, went to the beach. We just got a puppy, doesn't like the water. We threw him in. On the way back from the beach, I drive past this gas station. And this gas station is weird because it only has one price. Usually gas stations have 3 prices. So I don't know if they ran out of all the numbers except for 2s and 9s, but or just had too much cold beer. But this is, if you haven't prioritized getting good data inside of your Salesforce, this is essentially what you're doing with your sales and marketing. You're saying the same message to everyone, and it's only going to resonate with a small fraction of them. So At Big Panda, my last company, I was selling to primarily directors of IT and the IT buyer and the CIO. And the IT buyer is very hard to reach because what they have in their stack, like no one knows about. And one of the only vendors that does that, probably the only vendor that does it really well, is HGData. So we went to HGData to understand, where we should, what we should do with the data to drive our account-based marketing and sales efforts. So we took a look at our current customers, and we realized that 80% of them used 3 technologies. So we were an IT monitoring stack, and we were an aggregator of monitoring tools, and 80% of our customers used either New Relic, App Dynamics, or Nagios. So we then went to HData and said, hey, look, our customers are using these 3 technologies. Can we have all the companies using these 3 technologies? And so we're able to do some really cool stuff and around segmentation, and basically everything we did around marketing was driven off of that data. So I won't talk about kind of email and direct mail. We all know how to insert field merges into emails by now, but social media is a channel that's kind of untapped in the data regard. Imagine the ability to show a LinkedIn promoted post on someone's LinkedIn, you're showing to the right person, and you're showing them a relevant case study on how this person, from this company was using New Relic and got 80% lift within 2 weeks, right? So that kind of messaging is very powerful. You can do it on Twitter as well. They both have kind of ABM capabilities. And so here's another example of where we use HGData's technographic data. We ran this campaign to our target accounts, 800 target accounts, and we said, hey, look, if you do a free trial of us, no strings attached, we'll give you a drone, right? So IT people like drones. And we customized the landing page. Once they got to the landing page, we knew what tools they were using already. So we personalized that experience for them, and we got a lot of traction from this account. We opened up 61 opportunities inside of our target accounts just with this campaign, and that wouldn't have been possible without good data. And so my current company, Engagio, is account-based marketing and sales. Now, data is absolutely the foundation of good account-based marketing and sales, but there's a lot of other tools that you need to be successful. We've all seen a bunch of these maps. Now, this is one created just for account-based marketing and sales.
That's great. Thanks, Charlie. Really great stories from all of you. The favorite part of my job is talking to customers about how they use this type of data to really make them more successful in their job. So we're just getting started here. Everyone's taking a picture of the roadmap. Make sure you frame in the safe harbor part of that, because we just talked about the imminent stuff. Now we're going to go a little bit forward, okay? So we're starting with account enrichment and CRM, what's there today, in selling, upselling, things like that. As Charlie mentioned, there's a tremendous opportunity, obviously, to look at those data sets that are really driving your business today to figure out how you're going to drive growth tomorrow. So we're moving into the summer release into discovery in general. And there's 2 main components. If you are familiar with data.com, we do a lot on the company side with accounts, and we do a lot on the contact side. So, no matter how great we are at segmentation for companies, it only takes you so far. You need to sell to human beings, at least now, maybe bots in the future. But you need to find the right contacts to reach out to at these companies. So we're going to start, again, on the data exchange, bringing on more data sets for contact data vendors for discovery. So find the right companies to sell to, then find the right contacts at that company. And we're planning to leverage Einstein and recommendations on, based on your history, when you get in with the IT director, your chances of selling are X% higher, rather than just the reps searching through these big lists. And we were talking to a customer yesterday, who I think I saw back there, so I won't name you because I don't know if I can give you a direct attribution of the quote, but he's like, the worst thing you could do is give a sales rep a power search because they're just going to pick the contacts that work at the biggest companies because they're going to close the huge deal. But with artificial intelligence, we can actually guide the reps and sales ops helping these teams to sell to the actual companies that you have a high propensity to actually sell to. So really looking forward to that. Of course, we're bringing on more and more data sets. So that we're working with DMB on bringing on net prospects. We're looking at European contacts. For any of the Data.com customers today, a big request has been alternative hierarchies or linkages. So getting that kind of brand hierarchy and franchise hierarchy. And we're going to be creating an assessment tool. Like our first launch partners, they're loving what we've built so far. But to really educate a given customer as to what that data set can do for them, we want to have, I don't know if any of you have seen, we already have a Lightning-based assessment app for Data.com Clean today. But over the next couple releases, we're planning on building one of these assessments for any of these data exchange packs. So at the click of a mouse, you can just run this process. It'll actually run through predictive models at some point. The first thing we're starting with is just simple segmentation. X number of your customers are running Oracle versus SQL Server, things like that. So that'll help you really before you even reach out to the vendors. It'll give you a better understanding of what that data set can do for you. And another thing that we're moving into over time, and this is a little further out there, but every time we present this to customers, they tell us that this is a great way of integrating this industry data that we're either integrating today, but it's a huge pain in the neck and it breaks all the time, or we have a list of additional data sets that various teams are asking us to integrate and we just can't get to it. So they love that. But they also say, well, if you've built this new platform where it's really open to any external data source, can I just call out to my data warehouse? Can I call out to my ERP system? And the answer is we totally architected it with that in mind, and we plan to get there over time. So it'll take us a little bit of time. We're going to start with the industry data vendors, enrichment, get into discovery, and over time you'll see this platform opening up so you can create one of your own clean rules, point it to wherever you want, because we definitely understand that segmentation and especially predictive models, there's a few inputs. The CRM data will take you so far. The industry data will take you much, much farther. But then we all know you have other scoring models and customer information, obviously, in other systems, like we talked about earlier, the silos. And so it'll allow you to bring that other category of data into CRM so that it'll make the apps smarter, data-driven apps. So really looking forward to moving down the road over the next several releases with this. So a couple more things for housekeeping. We're going to open it up to Q&A, and then also hopefully everyone had an opportunity to participate in our raffle. So we're going to announce the winners in a minute. So anyone with a question, why don't you just come up in the front and we'll give you a mic to ask some questions. And don't be shy. Let's get this fun. Come on. I know there's some questions out there. Yes.
Are you recommending HG and Bombora along with Data.com, or are they two separate?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Are we recommending HGData and Bombora along with Data.com? I'm the product manager for Data.com, so yes, we're recommending that.
That was my answer too.
So, we strongly considered making Data.com Clean a rigid requirement to get one of these data sets. Because we all know, in order to match the data out to these data sets, the more complete, the more accurate your CRM data is to start, the higher the match rates. That's a given. But we're looking at this as an open platform. We're going to be onboarding more and more data vendors. So let's say down the road, we have a vendor that specializes in restaurant data, something that's moving very rapidly. It's a very niche data set, and they're just very focused on that one data set. And for that type of customer, having the DMB sales and marketing file isn't necessarily the most important thing. We're also looking at product data sets. Can we match to product information sheets, safety sheets, operating parameters for IoT, things like that. So we decided from the get-go, we're going to just message the market that this is an open platform. Of course, we're not letting any vendors on that compete with a clean product for the core firmographics that are in DMB's coverage area. However, we want to open it up from the start to get these niche industry-specific data sets. Good question. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Do you foresee the Data.com as being a Indian
do I see the data.com as the MDM solution going forward? I could have queued you both up for those questions, because that's another thing customers say. They first say, can I hook this up to my data warehouse? Actually, that's the second thing. The first thing is, oh, so you're going into MDM. And it's like, well, we're not really trying to go into MDM. We're really just listening to our customers and building an open platform that can really meet their needs. But as we talked about, as we open this up, it really plays as a good citizen in the MDM space. We're definitely not planning on being an MDM system per se, but if you look at the complexity of the integrations our customers have, we need to make sure that the data in CRM as it comes in and goes out is deduped, is clean, is up to date, so that we're a really good citizen in that ecosystem. And the more you can do in CRM to fulfill that vision, the more we'll be playing in that space.
I know Informatica has a product called CC360, which has these similar capabilities, and it's hosted on the x86. So I was wondering, from a roadmap perspective, how does this align with one of your applications?
Yeah, the question was Informatica has something kind of similar, and I think anyone in the MDM space will be looking at this. Of course, it's an open platform with customers that have a license to these capabilities. Like in the future, when we open this up to create your own clean rule, we've already talked to Informatica about it. We're doing a session on the ISV track this afternoon for systems integrators, et cetera. So we're a platform company, and we look to enable the general ecosystem. One more question? Anyone? Was someone back there?
I mean, how do you address all the data quality issues, like in terms of like garbage in, garbage out? I mean, you need to have some kind of a quality measure, because like ownership for each industry.
How do you address the data quality issue? I mean, from what these guys said, their data quality is absolutely perfect. So there's no issues whatsoever for that. We get that question all the time, and we're meeting with customers at Dreamforce and learning about how can they set up different business rules, kind of trust scores of a trusted data source, et cetera. As this data exchange expands, we're going to have, especially in the contact realm, we might have 4 different vendors providing contact data for the same person, right? 2 different emails, 3 different phone numbers, and how do you assure that? Another thing, if you're familiar with Data.com today, we do enable customers to provide some feedback. It's called flag is wrong. And we definitely want to partner with the data vendors to pass back that feedback so that they understand and can improve their data over time. So we need to wrap it up now in the interest of time. I know there will be a mad rush, but we want to give away some swag here. So Jim's going to come up here. Don't leave just yet. And if you have additional questions, we'll be outside the room afterwards in a few minutes if you have additional questions. So
we have 5 spare pillows. Great gift to bring home to your kids.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then 2 headphones.
So just last 3 numbers probably?
Pillows, last 3 numbers.
823.
And meet us in the back after.
840. 953. 975. 976. That's a fix. Did everyone have their tickets out?
Those are pillows. We'll meet in the back with all that stuff. Then these are for the headphones.
And one more final thing, where can you learn more on salesforce.com/data. So check out that link, more information out there. Thank you very much. Have an awesome Dreamforce.